OdeeLoccSportsInfo here, back with another vid for you guys. Yeah, y'all, hit that subscribe, like, bell icon so y'all can be notified of this reel because y'all know OdeeLoc keeps it real. Yeah, y'all, I know you guys see the title. It's Keith Thurman on PEDs for the Mario Barrios fight, right? And the PEDs Keith Thurman could be taking could just be a weight loss drug, right? Because he have been out of the ring for over 2 years. So it could just be a weight loss drug, or it could be something else, right? And why do you say that, OD? Why do you say is Keith Thurman on PEDs, right? Why do you say it's Keith Thurman on PEDs? And I also want to point out, is the IBF going to place Keith Thurman as number 2 in that vacant spot? Right after this fight with Mario Barrios, if he gets through this fight with Mario Barrios, will the IBF put him as number 2, right? Right above Boots Ennis, so he can get the fight with Earl Spence Jr., right? So they can block Boots from getting to Earl now? And let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let me start sharing some screens. You know, let's share this screen right here. Let's share the first one. The reason I'm saying is Keith Thurman on PEDs. As you guys can see, let's exit out of that. Exit out of that. As you guys can see, Earl Spence Jr. is the champion. It has Virgil Ortiz, Evanescence, Ennis, Garcia. I don't know how he's still right there. I heard he's supposed to be moving up, right? And then it got Conor Benn. Then it has the guy who was the mandatory, right, in the IBF. He was the mandatory for the IBF, but he just lost to, I think, that guy, Crowley. So the reason I'm saying is Keith Thurman on PEDs. This is the reason right here. This is the reason I'm saying Keith Thurman is on PEDs. This is the reason I am saying this. Because Keith Thurman just dropped out of the WBC this month. And why would he drop out of the WBC? Now, why would Keith Thurman drop out of the WBC? Why would he do that? Is it because they have the clean boxing program in the WBC? Right? That's the only reason he would drop out. There's no other reason for him to drop out of the WBC ranking system unless he doesn't want to get drug tested. Unless he doesn't want to participate in the clean boxing program. Right? And as a matter of fact, I think I heard about Victor Conti coming out saying something about Keith Thurman not being in the clean boxing program. Right? But this is clear evidence that something is going on with Keith Thurman. Clear evidence. Right? So the PBC, they got to make sure, they have to make sure that Keith Thurman wins this fight, right? They have to make sure that he wins this fight. Why? Because you don't hear nobody talking about this. Nobody is talking about Keith one time Thurman dropping out of the WBC ranking system. Why would Keith Thurman drop out of the WBC ranking system? Right? It's only one reason for him to do that. Because he don't want to get drug tested. And to avoid, the drug test, I'm just going to drop out y'all whole ranking system so I don't have to worry about y'all, period. Right? I know that the IBF, I know that the WBA, I know that the WBO, I know that they not really, you know, that strict on that, right? Unless a fighter wants to be in that program, like Terrence Bud Crawford, he's in the clean boxing program. He been in it for, before Earl Spence Jr. And this is a fact. Shit, like Terrence Bud Crawford, he been in a clean boxing program before Manny Pacquiao. So the writing is on the wall, y'all. The writing is on the wall. See, at first I thought that Mario Barrios he had a shot, you know, but from what I see, what's going on, right? Keith one time Thurman, he's dropping out of the WBC ranking system, just out the blue. Remember, the fight is in February. The fight is in February. So he dropped out in January. So he got a whole month, right, to do whatever the hell he want to do without worrying about the clean boxing program, right? Without worrying about the clean boxing program, he don't got to worry about them because he dropped out of the WBC, so he can do whatever the hell he want to do, and I'm pretty sure he should come in the ring, you know, stronger, right, with more stamina and all that, but he's still gonna be rusty though. He's still gonna be rusty. But the writing is on the wall, y'all, and this is ridiculous. This is what the PBC has to resort to. This is what they got to resort to, right? Then the crazy thing about it, the PBC fanboys, they not saying nothing about Keith one time Thurman dropping out of the WBC ranking system. And they not saying nothing about Victor Conti, right? Saying something about Keith Thurman not being in a clean boxing program. They not saying nothing about this. Why? Because it's on the PBC side. But if it was any other fighter that's not signed to the PBC, oh man, they getting trashed. No, no, actually, if it's any other fighter that they don't like, PBC or not, they getting trashed. And the reason that they don't want to, go in on Keith Thurman right now because they need him to come in and be another obstacle for Earl Spence Jr. They need Keith Thurman to win this fight so he can become an obstacle. They need him to win this fight so he can become an obstacle for Terrence Bud Crawford to get to Spence. That will prolong, that will give Spence a couple more fights at 147. That will give him at least two more fights at 147. That will buy him some time. Right? They throw Keith Thurman in the way. Yes, Terrence Bud Crawford, yes, he won't to fight Keith Thurman, but Keith Thurman doesn't have nothing to offer at this point. We want to see undisputed. We've been waiting on this fight for 4 years, right? For 4 years. I really don't want to talk about nothing else but Crawford and Spence. Thurman, you can wait, right? You can wait, Thurman, because I already know the outcome of the fight with you and Terrence Bud Crawford. Already know the outcome. Already know what's going to happen in that fight. You're going to get your ass beat. He's going to stop you with a body shot, right? He he's going to stop you with a body shot. Then you're going to, give up. Probably retire in the corner. Yeah, y'all, but it's obvious that Keith Thurman is on something. As you see at the bottom of the screen, he dropped out of the WBC ranking system. Why? Why is Keith Thurman out of the WBC ranking system? And he dropped out this month? Oh, a month before you have to fight Mario Barrios? Oh, so you don't have to go through the clean boxing program? Oh, I know, Keith. I get it. Oh, so the PBC, they have to make sure you win this fight so you can be another obstacle. This shit is ridiculous, man. This shit is, man, if y'all pay attention, you can see it playing out. You can see what's going on. You can see what the PBC doing. If y'all pay attention, y'all can see what the PBC is doing. They trying to make another obstacle. Okay, yeah, like Keith, okay. Yeah, Keith, yeah, like you probably get the fight in July, but we really want to see Spence versus Crawford. And it ain't because, that we scared that Crawford gonna lose to you. No, I know Crawford's gonna knock your ass out. I know he is. For a fact. I know he will. But the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. Keith Thurman is on the juice, man. Keith Thurman is on the juice. He's on it. Because there's no reason for him to drop out of the WBC ranking system. It's no reason. Why would you want to drop out? Unless you don't want to go through the clean boxing program. That's the only reason to drop out, right? They'll stop coming to the gym trying to get piss from you, blood, right? Because you're not in the ranking system no more. You're not in the top 15 no more. So Mario Barrios, he had a shot until this played out, right? Now, let's say that Keith Thurman beats Mario Barrios. Let's stop this. Let's say he beats Mario Barrios. This is what I think is going to happen. This is what I think going to happen. Let's share this. This is what I think going to happen. This is just my opinion, but this is what I think is going to happen. Come on, why it ain't sharing? Okay, there we go. There we go. This is what I think going to happen. Don't you see this vacant spot right here? Don't you see that vacant spot? That's where they're going to put Keith Thurman. That's where they're going to put Keith Thurman. That's where they're going to put him. Man, and I want y'all to understand, that Keith Thurman is nowhere in this ranking system. Nowhere in this ranking system is Keith Thurman. Nowhere. Nowhere. But watch, he's going to magically be right here or even right here because this guy, he got beat by Crowley. Right? Watch. So they can protect Spence from who? This guy. See? Now they got to put up another roadblock for this guy over here. So they using Keith Thurman. They're going to try to use Keith Thurman, to kill two birds with one stone, right? They can make Keith Thurman a mandatory over here, so he could take on a mandatory Keith Thurman, and at the same time, that takes away Keith Thurman from Crawford, and that buys Earl Spence Jr. more time in both, with both fights. See, and that buys Earl Spence Jr. more time with both fights, with Boots and Bud. By placing Keith Thurman at number 1 in the IBF, right? Then Spence, he take on that mandatory, right? Because he owed the IBF a mandatory. Yes, before he owes the WBA or the WBC, he owes the IBF a mandatory. He haven't fought one in 3 years. So he owes them a mandatory. So if they magically put Keith Thurman up in this area, you already know the fight is next. You already know after if Keith Thurman beats Mario Barrios and he mysteriously goes into this ranking system right here, do not think about Crawford versus Keith Thurman because it's not going to happen. They're going to make Spence versus Keith Thurman. And that way they can block Boots for another year, right? Right, because that'll be the mandatory, so he don't have to take on a mandatory for another year. They can block Boots for another year, and then that will take Keith away from Crawford, right? And that's another obstacle, for Earl Spence. I mean, come on, man. It's just a blocking tactic. It's a blocking tactic. The PBC, if y'all pay attention, they've been doing it for a while. It's a tactic that they've been doing for a while. Think about that. But just think about it. Okay, now let's stop sharing this screen. Just think about it. Keith Thurman mysteriously drops out of the WBC ranking system. Why? So he won't have to go through the clean boxing program. So they can make sure he wins this fight with Mario Barrios. Right? So they can make sure that he's in shape to win this fight, because he could just be taking a fat burner, because we know that Keith Thurman ass is out of shape. But he could be taking something else. But it really doesn't matter. If you're taking something that's illegal, to boxing, you're on PEDs. You're on PEDs. And you got an unfair advantage over other fighters who not taking the stuff that you taking. Period, point blank. But just think about it. He's out of the WBC ranking system. Bam. Now he's out of the WBC ranking system. Mysteriously, he's out of it with a month left to go in the fight. A month left to go in the fight. Well, less than a month left to go in the fight. He's out of the WBC ranking system. And that's because he don't want to go through the clean boxing program. Right? And nobody's talking about this really. Nobody really saying like why did Keith drop out of the WBC ranking system? Why did Keith drop out? Because he want to ensure that he's in shape. They want to ensure that he gets this fight. He gets through this fight impressive, right? So they can put him as number 2 or number 1 in the IBF, something like that. So they can make him the mandatory somehow, some way. They're gonna use Keith Thurman in some way to block Boots and block Bud from Earl Spence Jr. They are. So they're gonna use him. So don't be. Let me share it again. Don't be shocked if you see Keith Thurman pops up here somewhere. Don't be shocked if you see him pop up number 1, number 2 after this Mario Barrios fight. Don't be shocked. Don't say, oh, no. Why? Because I want y'all to look. He's not nowhere. He's nowhere in the. I mean, come on. He's nowhere. Nowhere. So if he mysteriously pop up, this guy, he already lost to Crowley. So it's not really a number 1. Right? Like both of these guys, like this guy, he lost to Crowley. So he's not really the number 1 anymore. This is vacant. Here go Boots. So they can put 2 people in front of Boots to protect Earl Spence Jr. Y'all don't get it? So if Keith get through this fight, right? So if Keith get through this fight impressively, do not be surprised if you see him mysteriously show up right here. Number 1, number 2 in the IBF. Because why? I just don't understand. Why would he drop out of the WBC ranking system? Let me try to pull that up again. Wait, hold on, you guys. Hold on, you guys. Hold on, you guys. I'm about to pull it up real quick. Hold on. I got it. I got to go back to the screen and I'm going to share it for you guys. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. Now, let's stop this. Now, let's go and let's share. Why would Keith Thurman drop out of the WBC ranking system? It makes no sense unless he's doing something. Okay, now here we go. Look. Ortiz, Evanishian, Ennis, Garcia. I don't know what he's doing here, but hey, it is what it is. Look. Dropped out. This month, Keith Thurman has dropped out of the WBC ranking system. Why? Because shit, the writing's on the wall, right? The writing is on the wall. It's clear as day that he's on the juice. It's clear as day that he don't want to go through that clean boxing program, right? So to get them off his ass, to get them off his back, I'm just gonna drop out the whole ranking system. I don't even want to be in the WBC right now, right? I don't even want to be in there. Nope, I don't even want to be in the WBC right now. I got to make sure I beat Mario Barrios, and nobody's saying nothing about it, right? And you know the reason that they not saying nothing about it is because they want Keith Thurman to be an obstacle. They want Keith Thurman to be another roadblock. They do not really want to fight with Earl Spence Jr. and Terrence Bud Crawford, right? They don't even want to fight with Earl Spence Jr. and Jerron Boots Ennis now. So any way they can block those two guys from getting to Earl Spence Jr., they're going to do it. Earl Spence Jr. will take on Virgil Ortiz before he fight any Boots or Bud, right? He will take on Virgil Ortiz, and you know why he will take on Virgil Ortiz? Because it's a Texas fight. It's probably it is a big money fight, right? Because I'll pay for the fight. I ain't gonna lie. It's a good fight. But Virgil Ortiz, he doesn't have nothing right now. Just like Jerron Boots Ennis, he doesn't have nothing right now. In the fight that the boxing world wants to see is Terrence Bud Crawford versus Earl Spence Jr. Just give us the fight. Let Earl Spence take on this tune-up and Udanis. Not a tune-up. Let me, say that different. This champion and Udanis Ugis, if he can get through that fight, him and Crawford need to lock up. Period, point blank. If he don't get through the fight, then I guess Crawford has to take on Udanis Ugis. Right? Because it's all about undisputed. And I want to see them fight, but I just hope that Earl Spence Jr., man, I hope he gets through this fight, you know, and he don't fuck up the fight that we've been waiting on for 4 years, man. Right? Listening to Al fucking Heyman. Listening to Al Heyman. They didn't pay attention to Deontay Wilder. They didn't pay attention to Deontay Wilder. See, I went and I looked at Deontay Wilder net worth last night. And I was like, damn, Wilder. Bro, I feel bad for you. Right? Like he's worth more money than I probably ever had for my lifetime, you know. But at the same time, Wilder could have had over $100 million in the bank account. Over $100 million in his bank account. Right? But Al Heyman and Shelly Finkel, and because Finkel, he had this little beef against Eddie Hearn, because he was calling him Shelly Winkle. He had this little grudge against Eddie Hearn. Al Heyman, he didn't want I say to Al Heyman, he didn't want Wilder to go over there and boost up the zone, right? So he stopped Deontay Wilder. He talked Deontay Wilder out of getting the most money in his boxing career ever. Right? Because he didn't make $100 million with the fights with Tyson Fury. Wilder didn't make $100 million. But the zone was going to give him 120. And just to show good faith, they was going to give him $20 million just to fight Dominique Brazil, a guy who he knocked out in what, 30 seconds? He could have got $20 million for 30 seconds of work. But he let, the so-called righteous black man, like coming from these cult member channels. Oh, yeah, man, he's a black man. Yeah, man, but you never see his ass. You can never hold him accountable for nothing, huh? You can never get in his face, put a camera in his face and hold him accountable for shit. That's why he stay out the limelight. That's why he stay out of Dodge, because he don't want to be held accountable for the shit that he do. Right? He just sent out his yes men. That's all he do. He just sent out his PR team. Right? But it got the cult members. Oh yeah, Black Power. Black Power. Man, please stop that, man. Please stop that. Al Heyman has proven he don't give a fuck about black, white, Hispanic, Asian. He care about money. He don't care about none of that color shit that all these channels be on. He don't care about that shit. He wants your money. That's all Uncle Al want. Yeah, and the reason that I be on Al Heyman head so tough too, right? Because I made a video about him. And I got flagged for the video. And they said, the owner of the I said, what? I'm talking about Al Heyman. It was just pictures and shit. I said, so this dude then got my video took down. This is just how petty this dude is. A small channel like mine, you mad at what I'm talking about you, Al. You get my shit took down, bro? Come on, man. Come on, man. This guy, but talk Wilder out of $120 million. About to talk Earl Spence Jr. out of his highest payday, right? Yeah, out of his highest payday, because Earl Spence Jr. is not going to fight Canelo. He's not going to fight Canelo. He's not going to fight Canelo. Canelo is on a whole nother level than Earl Spence Jr. Right? Like, Canelo ain't even thinking about. Come on, man. So his biggest payday, probably in boxing right now, is Terrence Bud Crawford. Right? And he need to get it before he fuck it up or let somebody talk him out of his highest payday. Why? What do Al Heyman got over you guys? Right? Do he got some weird pictures of y'all doing weird stuff or something like that? Like, what do he got over you guys to make you guys, do business so stupid? Your highest payday, right? Think about this. Sean Porter had to cross the street to get his highest payday when he fought Terrence Bud Crawford. Earl Spence Jr., he has to cross the street to get his highest payday. That's fighting what? Who? Terrence Bud Crawford. Come on. Deontay Wilder would have got his highest payday crossing the street fighting Anthony Joshua. Tank Davis, he would have got his probably one of his highest payday crossing the street fighting Tevin Farmer, fighting Lomachenko. So all this money that people saying that Al is dishing out, where, I mean, come on. Keith Thurman asked for $10 million to fight Terrence Bud Crawford, people. 10 mil. And he didn't even get that versus Manny Pacquiao. But he wanted 10 to fight Crawford, but he only got what, like 7.5, 8 to fight Manny Pacquiao. Right? Danny Garcia, he got offered one of his highest paydays from Terrence Bud Crawford across the street. Jamal Charlo, he turned down what, $7 to $12 million from across the street from Canelo when Canelo wanted to fight him. But did Al Heyman tell him? Hell no. They probably didn't even tell Jamal Charlo about that offer because they already knew he probably would have been like, hell yeah, give me that money. They probably didn't even tell him. Right? Just like the Louis King Kong Ortiz team, right? He turned down his highest payday from who? From Anthony Joshua. And what do all of these fighters have in fucking common? They all signed to the PBC. And they all can cross the street and get their highest fucking paydays. But the PBC is giving out all this money. Right? Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, right, man. The writing is on the wall. Just don't seem like that people be paying attention. Like Terrence Bud Crawford, he had one of the highest guarantees in boxing without pay-per-view. Right? Because you don't have to put his shit on pay-per-view. He was getting $4 million for regular ESPN shit. Guaranteed. This is why Bob Arum was mad. Of course he's fucking mad. Right? Because Terrence Bud Crawford got a stipulation on him. If you don't get me no big fights, no pay-per-view fights, motherfucker, I want an extra $1 million. So that's why Bob Arum was saying, yes, I can buy houses in Beverly Hills. Hell yeah, because he giving up millions of dollars to this dude because he can't get him no big fight. So he got to give him an extra $1 million on top of his guarantee. But Crawford's stupid. It's like, what? What? The man is guaranteed from $3 to $3.5 million. And then on top of that, if he don't get a big fight, Bob Arum got to give him an extra $1 million. Wouldn't you be mad? I'd be pissed the fuck off too. Especially when I'm trying to make these fights with these other dudes and they don't want to fucking fight my fighter. So I got to keep on coming out the pocket. Right? Because I can't get him a big fight because these motherfuckers on the other side of the street scared. So I got to keep on coming out the pocket, $1 million on top of the guarantee I owe him, $1 million, $1 million, million. Come on, man. Hell yeah, I will be pissed off. That's why he say he losing money. Because he was losing money. He was really losing money because Crawford, because the dudes from across the street, you know, they don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. But people, they didn't look at it like that. Oh, man, he's a slave. Oh, slave to top rank. Toby top rank. It was like, what? But this man is making M's every fight. Guaranteed. He don't have to try his luck on pay-per-view. Roll the dice. Right? Crawford, he didn't have to get on pay-per-view and roll the dice. Hell no, he already knew where his money was at. He already knew he was guaranteed this. And it is what it is. Come on. Stop it, man. Shit, like nobody even knew who Velasquez was, right? Like the meme machine. Shit, like Crawford got paid $4.5 million for that fight. Right now, when Earl Spence Jr., when he took on Ocampo, he only got paid $1.5 million. You see the pay difference? The pay difference is way different. Crawford, he don't have to get on pay-per-view and try his luck. Right when he was signed to Bob Arum, he was guaranteed money. And Bob Arum was pissed the fuck off because these dudes across the street don't want to fight, and he got to keep on coming out the pocket an extra fucking $1 million because he can't get no big fight for him. I mean, come on, y'all. Man, this shit is ridiculous, man. This shit is ridiculous, man. Boxing is a straight clown show. Keith Thurman. Now back to Keith. Keith is on the shit. You know, it's ridiculous. Let me put it up there again. I'm about to share it one more time. Let me put it up there one more time. Keith is on the shit. And it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous how this got to go. You know, WBC champion. Go all the way down. Bam. Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman drops out of the WBC ranking system. And there you have it, you guys. There you have it. And he dropped out for a reason. Remember, I always say timing is everything. Timing is everything. And he dropped out for a reason. For a reason. But yeah, y'all. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video. This your boy OdeeLoccSportsInfo. I'm gone.